Hey now, welcome everybody to the Cardinals Stand Out in Your Career podcast, presented by Alumni Relations here at Saginaw Valley State University. My name is Nic Taylor. I'm the Executive Director of Alumni Relations here, and today we've got a very, very special guest, someone who I've known for quite some time, and I'm excited to have her here. Miss Sam McKenzie, who's the President and CEO at Hidden Harvest here in the Great Lakes Bay region. Welcome, Sam.
Thanks so much for having me, Nick.
This is fun. We'll do a little humble brag to start. Is that okay?
Sure.
I mean, I got to reconnect and see you a little bit last year as you were honored as a
distinguished alumni.
Perfect. I love it. Well deserved, and it was a lot of fun to kind of hear some of the updates and things that have been happening in your world. Mm-hmm. So maybe as we kind of get started, can you share a little bit about your journey? Specifically coming from SVSU as an alum and then leading a nonprofit with such a kind of a diverse volunteer base.
Yeah. So very thankful for my time here at SVSU, where I not only got, great skill sets in the classroom, but also was encouraged by professors to go out in the community and volunteer. And I think that was, the first taste of nonprofit life and the impact that you can have just working with so many different people. I think that's really what, the nonprofit field is about, for me at least. And so thankful for that step in the right direction direction for me. It's what fit well on my end. But was in the communication program, marketing minor, and I think it was one of our marketing professors that had us out in the community volunteering. And then you just learn more about what's out there in terms of the nonprofit world. Ended up working for 10 years at the hospital hospitality house. And throughout that time, I would go and pick up extra food from Hidden Harvest. So I've been with Hidden Harvest almost 10 years now, but I've been walking through the door getting food from them, for another 10. So having that really long-term relationship with the organization and just seeing all the good that it can do. Really thankful that started out here on campus and kind of led to bigger things.
Yeah. And with that experience, I think what's kind of cool about that is you've worked with a lot of different folks, and I'm assuming a lot of people from a lot of different age groups.
Yeah,
right?
Different age groups, different walks of life. And it's amazing once you find the right fit for somebody, the right niche, how much you can all accomplish working together.
That's awesome. So what maybe first opened your eyes to the importance of just kind of understanding some of the generational differences that you've seen in all of your experience? Was there an experience or a goal or something that you were trying to really accomplish that kind of put that in focus for you?
So I think throughout my career, volunteers is really where we get the most diversity in our, our run-of-the-mill everyday experiences. And we've got 7 people on staff. They're pretty stable. A lot of them have been there, even longer than I have. And I've been there 10 years.
That's awesome.
So the volunteers that we get in, there's like the college student who needs a few hours so that they can write a paper about, what's going on in the community. And then there's like the group of Cub Scouts. Oh, they're so cute. They're in like kindergarten through 5th grade, and they're just going to have a really great time doing something they've never even thought of or experienced before. And then the other end of the spectrum, there's a lot of people who are retired, maybe even well into their retirement, and they know they have a lot of time and skills to share. And they want to spend it with you. Yeah. So there's, a lot of give and take between the generations that we work with. But honestly, they do so much for us. Anyone who steps up to volunteer.
I love the way you see, we always say, well-seasoned alums, right? Folks who have enjoyed everything that they're doing. When you look at some of these generational differences,
Mm-hmm.
the Cub Scouts, I mean, we're all at different stages of life, but even some that may be at the same stages of life. Have you noticed anything in which they either communicate with you or ways in which you can motivate them? Or is it because of your organization having such a strong mission
Mm-hmm.
and such a valuable mission, does it seem to be kind of even throughout all of them?
So I know there's a lot to be said about what generation you fall into.
Sure.
There's like the greatest generation,
Yep.
which, we're seeing less and less of those,
Sure.
sadly. But the dedication to the workforce
Mhm.
and just, it doesn't even matter what job, it's just the job is so important to them.
Mhm.
And then there's the baby boomers, very dedicated to the workforce, but knowing what the mission, the core,
Mhm.
of the organization about means so much more to
Mhm.
them. And we're really thankful we do have, a lot of people in that age kind of
Yeah.
range that give a lot of their time, and
Mhm.
they do still have, so much energy and,
Mhm.
effort to be able to put forward. And then we kind of trickle down into like closer to our generations. And
I'll admit I'm a full-on Xer, so
Okay,
I can tell
all
you
right.
what gets me involved in there. Don't put me with a big group of people. Give me a job, give me a goal. I will go take care of it. Right?
Yes. And we're so thankful, that
Mhm.
task focus kind of
Yep.
works out really well. And then there's like Gen Z and the Zennials and the Millennials. And, it's the bigger picture is really important. Like,
Yeah.
how does what Hidden Harvest does,
Mhm.
how does that play into the whole safety net?
Sure.
So it's not just our mission, it's like everything that goes into it.
So let me ask, seeing that that's really important, especially for maybe our baby boomers as
Mhm.
well as our Gen Zers, right?
Mhm.
How do you how do you incorporate your mission
Mhm.
or teach them about that while they're signing up to volunteer or coming to help?
Yeah.
What thought process have you put into that, if
Right.
any, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you communicate that to them?
Right. So I try to share kind of what's key about our organization and that first step when I meet anybody, because you don't know. I mean, I grew up out in the thumb. Sometimes I feel like that puts me a generation behind where I really am. It's just, things hit different based on a lot of different factors. So usually, anytime the first time someone comes into the organization, I'm giving them a tour. I'm
Yeah.
treating them like I'm courting them for,
Sure.
maybe a donation. Maybe this is an introduction to something that could,
Mhm.
really pay off. Maybe it is a volunteer whose volunteer service will be long term.
Right.
So if I treat everyone like they are, I mean, you just give them the respect any person deserves, but kind of chunk out that like half hour to 45 minutes of taking them around, explaining what the organization does, and then tying it into whatever task they're going to be working on for the day, why that's important.
Mhm.
For the Cub Scouts, we might trim that down
Yeah.
to like a very fast-paced 5 to 10 minute tour.
Sure.
But really just, showing them what it's all about before we give them the, whatever
Yeah.
job it is.
I love that you mentioned that with the Cub Scouts and the younger generations. We won't throw any 6-7s here. Don't worry, that'll be
Great.
good. I'm over it already. But you're thinking about that. We tend to think about age in a way in which what can we accomplish, right?
Mm.
Cub Scouts, you probably have some very, I don't want to say simple, but
It was
one
very
step
meaningful.
process. Yeah,
Yes.
a very meaningful one-step
Mhm.
process for those. Can I ask, when you talk to folks of older generation,
Mm-hmm.
us Xers, maybe the baby boomers and some of those folks, what are some of the volunteer opportunities like, and what do you see? Do you see a difference between them and our college students or high school students or our Cub Scouts coming in?
Yeah. So the volunteers that come in because they just want to. It's where, it's
Yeah.
you've got more freedom in your life. You've got more freedom in your schedule to do those things that you want to do. So those are the people who they have time to, maybe take on more complicated tasks, maybe serve on our board of trustees, serve as a long-term volunteer in one of our committees, stuff like that. And so we do have different interactions. Typically, it kind of starts with, here's what we have and we need done today. Oh my goodness, we have, and the Cub Scout project, it was peeling a ton of red cabbage. Because if it's kind of funky on the outside, nobody wants it, even though there's good food there.
Yeah.
And so, that could be the first introduction. But while you're doing that, we have a time to talk about all the wonderful things that this cabbage could mean for a family out in the community. So taking that easy, low-level task and translating it into, why did you first want to volunteering for us, and leaning into what motivates them, that person. With the Cub Scouts, the motivation really is there's a snack at every Cub Scout meeting, and food motivates a lot of us. So what can I say?
Yeah.
But for those that have that freedom in their schedule, that motivation is really giving back to the community, putting service as, a forefront in their mind, and what they want to do. So,
you mentioned a little bit about, board service, and I thought we hear a lot generationally about, I hear it being an Xer, but, I hear a lot about baby boomers and millennials always being at odds, but having like the same mentality. They both are very much interested in the mission and vision, and being, although they might work at it differently, but being a part of the solution for that. Are you seeing, not specifically with your board, but let's just, talk in general with boards in our area that you're familiar with. Are folks, is it more of the baby boomers who are starting to turn that over? And are there people stepping up on those boards?
Yeah, I have a wonderful board. I'm honored to always talk about my board. And in fact, I've had an SVSU staff member serve on my board for years running. It was Dr. Thorns, and then Dan Straws, and now we've got Ken Fettig on our board. Very blessed with great board members. And we try to keep a good balance. So whenever I turn in a grant, they ask about diversity on the board. And it's not just ethnic, socioeconomic, boy, girl. It's fun to go through your board list and count boy, girl. But we're regional, so we try to balance by the areas that we serve. But I also try to keep a really good balance of the generations on the board. And thankfully, we have people stepping forward that are from different backgrounds and different age brackets. So right now, I feel like we have kind of a pretty young board, and it's exciting. There's a lot of energy and momentum, which we need.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see how it balances out. It's like experience, energy, and there's like a whole continuum of where people fall into that. And some people have a lot of energy and a lot of experience. And that's like more into like personality types than just generational differences. But we're pretty blessed to have a good board that's varied in a lot of different areas.
It's great to hear you say that, because hosting an alumni board, it's an awesome experience. It's a great experience. I always try to make it a great experience for them, as well as I know that they are serving the university in an advisory capacity. And one thing I was surprised at when I started the position here a few years ago, I was looking at all these board nominations, and it was very much, I had folks who had been around and established, right? Our baby boomers who were kind of getting either close to retirement or retired, and are like, okay, now what am I going to do? Yeah. And I really love SVSU, so this is a way for me to serve and spend some time. But then a real I would say 75% of my nominations and applications to the board came from a millennial Gen Z, where they were like, okay, I feel like I'm an adult and I'm doing cool things and I want to
Nice.
be a part of something.
Yes.
And it was really interesting to look, and as someone of my age, as a Gen Xer, it was kind of interesting to see. I'm looking around like, where's my friends? Like, what are they doing? That middle was kind of, so just like you, we've tried very heavily when we go through our nomination process to look, based on region. We look at it based on college experience, right?
Yeah.
Even down to, I look at whether they were a commuter or lived on campus of thing. Because I want a good representation, because the university means so many different things to so many people.
That's true.
And I want to have their voice heard as part of it. I love when you say, experience and energy come together. Yeah, I think you can find that at just about every level. Maybe not, the Gen Z is still gaining experience, but even then they might have a different experience that they're bringing at.
Yeah.
Too.
So in order to really develop that diverse board, we have like a cool board matrix of all the skill sets that for our organization, we think we need. We look at the age brackets, we look at personality type. And so that like some people are just like that visionary. They can see the total picture. And then there's like the task focused folks. And so we really try to see what we already have engaged with our board. And then when we're interviewing new board candidates, when we're kind of going through that process, and even looking for recommendations from current board members, if someone's terming off the board and they know that we're missing something, they can usually look around their organization and find a pretty good fit to help fill in that bubble.
That's awesome. And it's what I love about your experience already, talking about both volunteers and board members. I mean, board members are volunteers.
They are.
But those different levels of commitment, right, in there. I think the one thing is the same among all generations, is that there is that commitment. And I think when we talk generationally, I think sometimes we like to point the finger at other generations, even myself, and say, well, these kids, they don't know, or these people just won't get out of the way, whatever. No, there's commitment across the board, and it manifests itself in so many different ways. So let me ask this, when you're talking about your board and kind of the different generations and different folks that you have on there, how do you kind of actively try to create an environment where maybe each one of those generations or those board members feel valued and heard? How is that? Is that a conscious decision that you make, or is that something that just kind of happens along the way?
Making sure everyone feels heard and valued. Our board members, they really step up in so many different ways. It's wonderful. We've got some board members who it's like anytime we have a project, they're like, I'm in. And then there's some that are like, oh, I would like a project. And they find them to, to really focus in on. It's silly ways that we recognize our board, like on our little board nameplates for the boardroom in front of board meetings, we've got little stickers that we put on their, little nameplate. The stickers kind of represent if they have maybe done a ride along with one of our drivers. Okay. They've stepped outside of the boardroom in some way. You're gamifying it. You're giving different, that's awesome. It's a fun, and during a board meeting, then they get to talk about what their experience was, how was it to go on that ride along and help with that food drive collection or whatever, whatever project it may be. And so it's like, oh, it's such a simple thing. It doesn't have to cost a lot. But just giving them their due, letting them know that what they did does matter. Sure. And not just, some people are very one-on-one, but in the boardroom where their fellow board members can not only also, give them a hand for helping them out, but also think, oh, what could I do when asked, when it's my turn to step up to earn a gold star.
Sure. No, I love it. Have you seen, and I'm not looking for specific examples here, but when you talk about your volunteers or folks that work within your organization or the board that helps you at Hidden Harvest or boards that you have been on, so in any of those circumstances, have you, when you see like different generations maybe disagree on whether it's a tactic or a goal or what it should be, what are some things that you would think others should probably keep in mind as those situations arise?
So there's some folks that just really want to dig in to, their belief, whatever it is about the organization, the community as a whole. But I find the more information everybody has, where they're speaking the same, language, where they're kind of looking at the same set of research, whatever the situation is. I'm really thinking about like the strategic planning process. It takes kind of some effort to pool what are our the whole SWOT analysis. What are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats? But once you are all speaking from the same set of information, it helps people kind of let go of some of what they maybe were, hyper focused on and come to some middle ground. So we've been, Hidden Harvest been around a long time.
Yeah.
And I've been at the helm for quite a while now. So I've been through a couple strategic planning processes. And I would say that's really, where we've seen some of that the most. And we get our staff engaged in that. We get volunteers and the board. So it's not just, what the board thinks we should do. It's, hey, we run this day in, day out. Let's all work together from our different lenses, but bring it together. And having an outside facilitator was a great opportunity for that. Something that our local community foundations and United Way sponsored for us was called Guidehouse. That's awesome. We leaned into that resource, and the volunteer was actually like a professor teaching strategic planning. And I was like, oh, this seems to be someone we can really rely on for this process. But he got us all to kind of fill out the SWOT analysis in advance, and then we could kind of look at all this data and use that to inform our work. And I think that really helped each of the different personalities and different generations in the room kind of come together towards shared overall goals, and then maybe what they were really focused on, it just fit better under one of those larger themes instead of it being the main focus. I
love that you brought up the strategic planning process. I am a planner myself. And what I took away from your answer there is, regardless of the generation, regardless of the person in the seat, if we go in and we know where our North Star is, right? And we know what our plan is, or we're putting a plan together, but we know what our mission is in there. It's pretty tough to argue against that in any way.
Yeah.
And so it kind of, what ends up happening is those folks who might feel differently about a tactic or those are things that we can discuss. But if everybody around the table, whether it's the greatest generation or Gen Alpha or Cub Scouts are at the table, we at least know that we're pointing in the same direction and we're trying to accomplish the same thing. And that first understanding can go so far. And not everybody's going to get it. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And people are people. And we might come into a situation where somebody has their own agenda item or own personal thing that they want to do, and we have to try to work around that sometimes to just stay on track and stay on the mission. Okay, we're getting close to the end.
Okay.
And I want you to think, we always finish with this big question.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to think of the alumni that's out there, someone who is a future distinguished alumni like yourself. What would be one big piece of advice that you would give to them relative to working in a multi-generational organization, whether it's at work or on a board or volunteering? What would be that one piece of advice you would want them to know?
All right. Future distinguished alumni that are out there. I would say that in order to embrace all the different generations and truly bring what they have available out there into your mission, your purpose, and whatever role you're in, really just have to embrace those differences and allow them to show you what their purpose is. We've got, different people that work for us, even on our staff, that, maybe what they went to school for doesn't really align with what their job is.
Sure.
But they found their niche, and what they do is important, and how that they can use what skills they have. You just gotta, it's like Tetris. You gotta find the right, configuration for each person.
I love the Gen X reference right there. Tetris, you're talking to you and I love it. Okay, sorry.
So you gotta just find the right, the right spot. And sometimes, it's that really, that passionate person that you have. They're great, speaking out for your organization, your business. The person that, really likes whatever task it is. They might be on the older end of the spectrum, but maybe they want, something that's just like not put X in,
right,
this and whatever peg in whatever hole, but something like that might be a great fit. Really letting people not choose their own destiny, but, kind of find where they fit in best. And there's a lot of generalizations, but those get, shot down time and time again. So, getting to know people, that's really, really the key, is learning what they're most interested in. Some of our board members are like, oh yes, feeding the hungry is key, and obviously very important. But there's some people who joined our board that they're like, keeping good food out of the landfills, that's what's most important, to this person. And so, you just gotta take the time to get to know people, whether it's through a, introduction survey, an actual, meet and greet, going on that tour and taking the time to, learn why they're interested in what you're doing. I find that's the key to working with different generations.
I thank you for that, first of all. I chuckle not at your answer, because as you were talking about that and helping people find their fit and all those things, it reminded me of advice that I give my children every day, but in a good way, in a very, very good way. And that advice is, I always remind them that people are the stars of their own movie. And my kids, they love movies, and I've seen that. Yeah. And if people are the stars of their own movie, you can be an ancillary character, you can be a supporting character, or you could be the villain.
No.
And you need to actively choose which one you want to be. And I think it's funny, because as you were saying there, I'm sitting there thinking of my children, obviously Gen Alpha, coming up. Who knows what they're going to be like when we hit the working world, but I really hope for them that they're always the supporting characters. Other people can be the star. You're the star of your own movie. So let's write your script. And I think working generationally is going to be a skill set and a tool that I think a lot of people are going to have to master. because we now do, our generations change so fast. They're getting faster and faster in how they change because of major events that are happening. And so keeping that one kind of thing in mind really for them, and I think for a lot of people, even as adults, that's good advice to keep in mind. Sam, I want to say, first of all, before we go, thank you, not just for being here and being an amazing representative of alumni at SVSU, but all the work that you do in the community and your organization does in the community. I think people, if you're out there and you are interested in what Hidden Harvest does, I'd encourage you to check them out online. See where maybe you can help along the way. I think that's a great way. I've personally volunteered and have been there and seen the impact that you all have, and can tell you you make a really big difference in our region and our community, and I just really appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
Well, for everyone out there, thanks for joining us. This is Cardinals Stand Out in Your Career podcast presented by Alumni Relations. I want to encourage you today, if you have questions for us or things that you would like to hear on other Cardinals Stand Out in Your Career podcasts, please don't hesitate to send us an email at alumni@svsu.edu. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, we're getting ready. I know that we have a lot of events coming up. You can always see the events and ways to stay engaged with your alumni office at svsu.edu/alumni. With that, I want to thank you so much for being a part of our day today. I hope you learned a little, and go out and make a big impact, stand out in your career. It's a great day to be a Cardinal. Thank you. And scene.